So who is it that Right at Home looks after?
My mum.
Your mum. Cool. There we go. Okay, so if you just look at me as well, so don't worry about the cameras.
Yeah.
So firstly, what type of care does Right at Home provide your mum?
She has vascular dementia, so she receives personal care and help with her medication.
And what was it that made you look into getting a care company in for her?
We struggled for a year just between the family, but it got to the point where our families were suffering. We weren't giving Mum the care she needed. We just didn't have the time to do it. So it gets decided for you, really. There comes a point where you're not achieving what you want to do. So that's why I started looking.
And then what made you choose Right at Home?
Well, we had a care company recommended by social services, which was a bit of a disaster. So we went for a period with no help at all again. I just looked through the local companies, and they just seemed like the type of company we were looking for.
Cool. And what kind of things, why did they stand out?
They looked friendly on the advert, firstly. They all say roughly the same information anyway, whoever you read about. They just seemed young and enthusiastic and really cared about what they were doing.
Oh, that's cool, that's nice. What kind of, do they do any activities with your mum or anything like that?
Yes, they do. They don't just come in and disappear like the previous company. They take great care in assessing her mood that day, and if she's in a good mood, they'll sit and look through photograph albums with her, which doesn't sound much, but it's important to her. They'll go through storybooks with her, and that helps to encourage her to get involved a bit more. Even just sitting and chatting with her about ordinary, everyday things, they're very good.
Excellent. And do you get much interaction with the caregivers?
Yes, I do. Yeah, they keep us well informed. If they have any concerns, they'll approach us in a nice way. They're like a second pair of eyes, because you can miss things even though it's your family. Sometimes you need someone from the outside to just point things out that we may have overlooked. But there's a way of doing it where they've just got a nice way of doing it.
And then what's the kind of communication like with them in terms of things like medication and things like that? How is that communicated to you?
If there's any problem, I'll receive a phone call or an email. There's always literature in the house where each day a record's entered of what they've done and any concerns they have.
Excellent. So someone's coming in. Should we wait for them? Might we go next door? Looks like we go next door. So how has Right at Home impacted on your life and your family's life?
It's helped us all. My brother lives with my parents and he was struggling. He's now able to do things for himself, no interest he has, rather than just being at home and concentrating on Mum and Dad, because they also look after Dad, even though they're not obliged to. I'm now able to visit them and speak with them rather than just go and spend my time caring for Mum and ignoring Dad because I'm busy with Mum. It's just so much nicer. If we go away, I don't have to worry about what she's getting up to. I know that she's so well cared for, and I don't forget about her, but I can put it out of my mind, which I've never been able to do before.
So you can have that relationship with your mum as
Yeah, how it's
that
meant
as a
to
parent,
be.
yeah, rather than a carer.
Yeah, and talk to Dad as well.
That's really good. Yeah, that's like I hear that a few times from different people
Mm.
when they're talking about their parents being looked after. That they can go back to having that
Yeah.
parent-child relationship
Yeah.
rather than carer. That's really nice. And then finally, sorry, I missed one. What's the best thing about Right at Home?
I think the best thing about them is they have a very good management team, because you can have good care providers, but if the management team haven't got the rotas correct, people can feel rushed and not able to give the time and attention they want to the client. They also must have a very good management team, because every one of their team who I've met they're just so genuinely interested in their work, and I know from a previous company that's not always the case. You can't fake it, it's genuine. All the women I've met, all the girls I've met have been lovely, and Mum's absolutely at ease with them completely, and you can't force that on someone. They either are or they're not. And Dad's happy to have them in the house, because you're coming into somebody's home. Dad's he's an old chap. He doesn't particularly want strangers in and out, but he's completely happy with them. They include him as well. For instance, one of the girls made a cake and brought some in for Dad. She didn't need to do that. And she made a point of going and talking to him, just checking he was okay whilst I was there. She didn't need to. They're just a really good company.
Cool, lovely. That's it. Thank you. Some really lovely